Hey guys, nice to meet you all. I'm Diwank. I am an AI researcher. I am also a startup founder at Julip AI. My company, we build backend for stateful AI applications, and we do a ton of interesting research, which I would love to talk about. I'm also a coffee aficionado and pop quiz. Who knew that there are two O's in aficionado? That is something that I just found out. So, welcome. I will be talking about how to build stateful AI apps. The less than 50 lines of code part is clickbait. That's not what's going to happen. But yeah, so let me get started. Okay. So what is the state of the AI ecosystem today? One, it's fragmented. Two, there's no best way to build AI applications right now. And three, there's a big integration hell. If you are a developer or if you are someone who is thinking about building an AI product, right now there's too many options. You have things like vector stores, embedding models, generative models, different APIs, integrating them all together, tool calling, chain of thought, agents, and maybe 50,000 different frameworks. And it is extremely complex for any organization right now to build these and get it right. And if you think about, on the other hand, the state of AI developer experience, I think we all know that these applications are easy to prototype. You can whip open a custom GPT and add some prompts, add some tools, and see that it starts to work. But they're incredibly hard to productionize. And that's a huge challenge. And I think we're still learning to use these foundation models really well. Second, it's a moving target. GPT-4o was launched about 3-4 weeks ago, and everyone got excited. And then 2 days ago, Claude 3.5 Sonnet was launched. Which one do you use? It's non-trivial to move between each other. If you are a developer and you've worked with embedding models, there's an embedding model out every 1 week or 2 weeks. So there's a huge moving target. You start building something and the ecosystem, the fundamental foundation layer keeps changing. And last, but I think something that's really underappreciated is the impedance mismatch between current best practices, the way we build applications today, and what AI applications require, right? So if you think about it, what's something that we've come to be very, very familiar with in regular applications? If you're building a mobile application, microservice, they're fast, they are ephemeral, they're stateless, they're lightweight, and you can scale them very rapidly. On the other hand, almost all AI applications are slow, they take time, they're error prone, they're heavy, bloated with all kinds of frameworks, etc. And they are inherently stateful. There's no such thing as a stateless AI application because you have to save the history and build the context window and so on. So just to kind of round this all up, like we are in a transition phase where we're still learning how to use these models. We're still building the infrastructure. And I had a fun conversation just yesterday with a large enterprise company. They asked me, what is the cheapest and best way to build a reliable app? And I said, just wait for the model to get better. It's probably the cheapest thing to do right now. But that being said, there is hope. And I think being first to market and pioneers is both exciting and strategically valuable. So what I have kind of come to think about AI applications, my research and our work, is there's this idea of the 12-factor application. And this idea was originally propagated by the Heroku founders and some really amazing people back in 2008-9, which feels like forever ago. And the idea behind a 12-factor application for Heroku is they need to be declarative, they need to be stateful, version controlled, and so on and so on. And I think that it is time for us to think about AI applications the same way. What is the hallmark of a good AI application that can scale and be reliable, right? So this is just my own personal thing, by the way. But I personally think that this is the best practices for building AI applications, and kind of borrowing from the 12-factor application that Heroku propagated. So I'll just quickly go through these, right? So one, it should be declarative. What I mean by that is the AI applications, if you think about them, are largely data. Again, something very different from regular applications, which are largely code. So I think it is very important for them to be declarative. And second, they should be composable. We expect, as these models get better and better at planning, doing things, prompts and applications compose into each other and flow, the logic and the data flows from one part to another, right? Third, and this is really important in my opinion, prompts are right now treated as second-class citizens. If you see LangChain or most libraries out there, they try to hide it. They try to put prompts behind functions because developers are used to writing functions in code and not prompts. But I think it is time to actually flip that paradigm and make prompts as first-class citizens. Fourth, they should be disposable and reusable. Fifth, there should be batteries included, because most applications will truly benefit from integrations and search as, again, something that's part of the stack. Sixth, they should manage context. It's very important to manage context and make sure that the models have all of the information they need to do what's necessary. And again, I'm not going to go, actually, I'm realizing that this is too boring. But last thing I would want to quickly mention is that I think it's very important also that these applications have the ability to do long-running background tasks. Like, can I tell my AI, talk to me every morning and check in how I'm doing, and play a song accordingly, right? So things like that. So this is kind of my vision of what AI applications should be like. So introducing Julip. This is a shameless plug for my company. We build a backend-as-a-service for 12-factor AI applications, kind of like Supabase or Firebase for agents. We manage context. We allow you to create background workflows. The framework and the system automatically mines memories, and there's built-in RAG and ton of integrations. I can go through the concepts, but just to kind of come back to the title of the talk, which is building these applications in 50 lines of code. There's code. I'm going to be coding in just about a second. Okay, so we basically have three main concepts, and the idea is, how do you compose these ideas together and let the backend do everything else for you? So there's an agent. An agent is, and all of these constructs are saved in the Julip backend, and you can create these and then start integrate it within your applications. So one is the agent. An agent is essentially a construct for its prompts and its tools. Second is the user. User is an important construct that we personally feel is crucial for memory management. So in Julip, all of the memories that an agent makes are scoped to a user. And that's entirely optional. You may or may not want to link a user and store users inside Julip, but if you do, we can form memories about them automatically. And third is sessions. A session is the primary workplace where you can add multiple agents, multiple users, and then talk to them. And they can talk to each other. So agents can work with each other. Users, you can add multiple users. It could be your entire Slack channel, and they can just kind of talk to each other. Couple of like interesting things. So if you see here, there's context overflow. So we have essentially taken best practices in the state of the art for managing context at the moment, which is the simplest one is truncate. So as the history is building up, you can just drop initial message, like older messages, and just kind of have that context. But we came up with something called adaptive context, which essentially continuously summarizes and extracts important information and sort of adds a synopsis, moving synopsis to the context. And you can set a token budget, which is essentially the system will try to keep it under that many tokens. So you can just say that I want the context to never exceed 5,000 tokens, and it will just try to do that. The last two, remember and recall, again, I really like this simple kind of almost magical constructs. Remember is when you set remember to true in a session, it will create memories. When you set recall to true, it will remember those memories. And that's that. So, okay. All right, so let's write some code. I'm putting this QR code in case you would like to go see that notebook after the talk, but let me just switch to the code. All right, so this is a quick Jupyter notebook. This was created by an intern, obviously. So let me just get started. Okay, so Julip comes as a simple Python library that you can install. And let me just quickly show you. So Julip is entirely open source, permissively licensed under Apache 2.0, and you can host it yourself or use our platform. Here, these are just simple instructions for hosting it yourself if you would like, but we're today going to use the Julip cloud. So let's start. We're going to import some things. In the middle, please stop me if you have a quick question at any point in this exercise. So let's just create a Julip client. If you are using a locally hosted, self-hosted version, you can set the API URL as well. So let's create an agent. So today we're going to just do a bunch of different fun exercises. So here I'm just creating an agent that can do research on a product. So instructions, the user will inform you about the product they want to focus on. You will ask and decide the product to focus on, etc., etc. This is simply a demonstration, so I'm not going to waste too much time on this. Okay. So these are instructions, and like I mentioned earlier, so we're creating an agent. We write things about them, instructions. All of the prompts, by the way, in the framework are first-class citizen. You can edit everything, and everything is essentially a Ginger template for those who know Python programming. Okay. The second step is we define some tools. So here we are going to search OpenAI forums for research on some of their products. And this is essentially, we have constructs we're utilities for simplifying this, but this is what the model sees at the end of the day. And like I said earlier, one big important focus for us is that this kind of stuff is as transparent as possible. So let's create some of this. Okay, so now we're going to create an agent with those tools and with the instructions that we gave it. But essentially, it's an agent that posts and comments on discourse forums for a given topic. And we're going to pretend this is an anonymous user who is a product manager at OpenAI that claims that they have invented AGI, but they haven't. And so we have our user, we have our agent, and then we can simply create a session and start chatting. One of the key things is that you can replace these prompts to essentially things like this. Agent, let's say, and so on. And what this allows you to do is you are talking, move these prompts around and make them composable, make them reusable. Okay, let's create a session. And we can now chat with the session. So recall and remember are true by default. And so we gave it an instruction, which is, can you please specify what kind of feedback or information are you looking for? So one of the instructions was that make sure to ask and decide the product to focus on if it's not clear. And you can keep chatting with this session, and it will just remember all of the history, manage it automatically. I can set adaptive context to true. It will maintain the token budget. And most importantly, this is all stateful and taken care of, which means that if there's any failure in the background, we take care of it. And if there's any errors or whatever, we take care of it, and so on. And the last thing I quickly want to show you is we have documentation inbuilt as well. So you can choose to use your own RAG pipeline or use ours. One important thing and I'm going to come back to the 12 factors, for a second. Transparent upgrades is really important to me because I've personally been gone down too many rabbit holes of this new embedding model is out, this blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that we provide again is you can, if you're using our doc store, you don't need to worry about what new model is out there, what new techniques for retrieval augmented generation out there. We will upgrade it automatically as and when new models come out. And you can benchmark them, and you decide which ones to use and so on. So I'm happy to talk more about the code that we just wrote. You can, of course, capture this QR code and you can see that notebook. There's more examples down south. And two quick things that I want to talk about is an upcoming release, which we are hoping for sometime next week or maybe 2 weeks from now, is we're building tasks, which is GitHub Actions style declarative workflows. And you can make them arbitrarily complex that can run over months, years, doesn't matter. And then, of course, our memories are, essentially mined using this background workers, and over time will be augmented with episodic, implicit, and semantic memories. So this is also coming up in the next release. And that's that. You have the option from our, so two things. One, you can host it yourself, connect it to whatever providers you want. Second, if you use this directly, right now, we forward the billing from OpenAI and Anthropic to you, and in the future will allow you to just set those API keys. We don't kind of want to handle, user API keys because they're kind of sensitive. So our business model is open core. We are largely going to be, we're going to remain open source throughout and very permissively licensed, so you can do whatever you want with it. And our product is going to become sort of enterprise ready, deploying onto your own virtual cloud and, VPC. So that is like our offering is going to be essentially white glove for enterprise customers. So somewhere between Red Hat and I want to say Supabase or Vercel. So there's a hosted platform, and we are also working with a lot of enterprise customers where we are giving them white glove support and hosting things on their servers, because I think there's a huge concern about privacy and security of data, and we understand that, and I think we're like working with enterprise customers. My background is I've been working in AI for a very long time. This is my third AI startup, and one of my kind of core belief is that we can use intelligence to do some really meaningful work. And I'm just really excited to be alive at a time where so many new things are possible every day. I started my journey as a college dropout. I'm a dropout from Columbia University. I've been working in AI. I'm also a T fellow, and I am mostly excited about. These days, I'm excited about how we can solve agentic problems, because those systems right now don't work and they're struggling to work. So I'm really excited about that. I think there are two broad categories of use cases that we personally see. One is chatbots, connecting chatbots with internal data and and some more complex workflows like customer support, where you do need structure. So our tasks feature is actually really in high demand for structured chatbot flows, because you can define that, do this, do this, do this, do this. And this is the flow that you're going to follow. For example, one of our clients announced they built a chatbot themselves using OpenAI, and they announced that for if a customer is really, really upset, just give them a small cashback, or sure. And the bot started to give everyone a cashback, right? So that kind of structure is really valuable for them. The other kind of workflows that we're seeing are actually around code and solving, GitHub issue style workflows. So I think those are the biggest ones that we have right now. The workhorse of agents is, or workhorse of working with agents inside Julip is sessions. And this kind of allows you to segment problems in various different ways depending on the domain. So for example, you can create an agent that has certain prompts, of course, as usual, but you can then add tasks to that agent. So every task is actually scoped to an agent. So you can add, let's say you're building a research, some kind of a research assistant, and you have multiple agents working together to do the research. One of the tools can be that, you start with a topic, you find related Google trending keywords, then you in parallel expand on them, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say you have a complex workflow that's like a task. And then you can define those agents, put them together, and then tell them, okay, here's the goal, start chatting. And they can then chat inside the session, which is a shared history. And again, that history is automatically managed the same way as if a user and agent were talking. We automatically use the same techniques to keep it under the budget, make sure any important information is not lost.